Okay, are we streaming?
We are now streaming.
Okay, well, we can call the meeting to order at 5:03. And Ms. Hobesh, if you can do a roll call to verify quorum.
Okay. Um, Dr. Windsor.
Present.
Um, Sorry, I don't know who's there, and I'm trying to go off of some old notes that I barely got up. So, Miss Garrison,
Here.
Miss Mendoza,
Here.
Oh,
Dr. Tejan,
he is coming in right now. There he is.
Hello, hello.
There he is. Good job. Hi, Joel.
How's it going?
hello. Doing a roll call. Dr. Tejan,
I'm here. Hello.
hello. Miss Baker,
Here.
Miss Cox, no, and Miss Martinez. Absolutely. Okay.
He might be at the
And
school.
Miss Crystal, Miss Obey here.
Thank you. So our next item is a discussion.
Okay, I need to send her the Zoom link 1 second.
Okay, for Ms.
Mhm.
Martinez. Okay.
Okay. I can't remember how to do that. Invite, copy the link. Link's been copied. Okay. Here is the link. Bam. And bam. Okay. Hopefully she'll be in a couple of seconds.
Okay. All right, so if we're good to move on to the next item as a discussion and vote to approve the previous minutes. Does everybody have the
Yes.
minutes?
Yes.
Would you like me
Yes.
to put them on the screen or you got them?
Does anyone need them on the screen? Okay, I think we've got them.
Okay, very good. That's a lot easier.
And this one's a voice vote. All in favor?
Do we have I think we need to have a motion to
Discussion.
approve
Oh.
the meeting minutes.
So moved.
I second.
Okay, so we can voice vote now, Ms. Hobesh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Thank you.
Okay, so that takes us to the next item to vote, discussion and vote for the proposed budget fiscal year 2025.
Joel, I'm going to make you a co-host so you could share your screen, okay?
Excellent. I will share my screen from my end.
That's easier than me driving.
All right, we've got. All right. So, hey, first of all, good evening, board members. It's good to see you. It's been a while. This year's budget situation is a little bit different than the previous year and a little bit more like the years before.
Can you zoom in just a little bit there, Joel?
I definitely can.
Thank you.
Let's do some version of this. Let's make this bigger. Is that better?
It is for me.
Let's go. Let's go. One more click. We can make it happen. All right.
There we go.
So this year, the Auditor General released a temporary file for the budget for 2025 because the state legislative session has not yet closed, meaning they have not approved a budget for fiscal year 25 yet. From my understanding of people inside that mechanism, it's not really related to educational funding. It's other matters that are not K-12 related. So I feel consistent and comfortable in that what we've projected in our actual internal operating budget is likely. That said, we don't have a state budget file to put together a true budget in. They'll release that file at some point after the close of the latest legislative session, which could be as late as 6:30. So what we have right now is a 3-step process instead of a 2. We'll approve the proposed version of the budget now that you're looking at, the adopted version, which will be identical to this. And then once they release the permanent file, we'll model our operating budget into that precisely at that point based on what we know of our head count and kind of make a bunch of changes to that budget file. That'll be done before the 15th of September. So that makes sense. It's going to be a 3-step process this year, not a 2. Proposed now, adopted before the 15th of July, and then revised before the 15th of September in a different budget file version based on the actual approved funding at that time. So
That's a
with
key date, Victoria, to write down is the 15th of July. We have to have the meeting to approve before that date.
before or on the 15th of July.
Yeah.
For the adopted budget. You got plenty of time to do that in, and that week or so leading up to the 15th seems to be a really comfortable time for most boards to get a quorum together. It seems that first part with the 4th of July, a little dicey at times.
Yeah.
All right, so
Joel, real quick, I'm sorry.
yes.
So the proposed, adopted, and then revised had to be by September?
Yeah, the revised version they're requiring this year has to be done by the 15th of September. In a normal year, the school's allowed to revise their budget whenever it wishes up to the 15th of May in the following, calendar year. But this one, because they're doing this kind of 3-step process, they're requiring a revision from schools by the 15th of September. In the event they release the permanent file in such time that we can put together the adopted budget in the new file version, we'll do that. But I'm reticent to, typically because it will deviate from the proposed that you've reviewed now and that we will have posted publicly. I think that it's easier just to do a revision by September 15th, to be honest.
Okay, we got Fatima Martinez joined us. Yay.
All right. So what we have before us here is the proposed version of the state budget for fiscal year 25. To the right-hand side, you'll see our 24-year budgeted revenues, our 25-year budget revenues, $9.7 million compared to $10.5 million and some change. The difference is COVID-related special one-time funding from ESSER sources and other sources. That is the biggest reason every school is going to have a challenge or at least an opportunity in the fiscal year 25 budget, is that the release and the no longer available COVID-19 specific funding from ESSER. This year, we're looking at a $60,000 average teacher compensation versus a $58,000 and change compensation from 24, 3.1% increase over the prior year, which is outstanding. I hope that can continue. I don't know that it's likely, but for right now, it looks very favorable. Page 2 of the report is an overview of our key contact information. Brian, this is one of those where we look it over and verify that everything is correct. I can turn it in as is. If not, I can make changes the board specifies. What is going on?
We need to go back to that page.
Yeah.
Caitlin Smith is a C. Crystal, Miss Schmaltz is not on the board any longer. Miss Dr. Pena is no longer on the board.
Tell you what, let me pull up the actual file and you.
Let's make that correction.
So once we're done with this, the approval from the board will be with changes noted to XYZ, like the contact page.
Okay.
So this is going to be a little bit more elaborate than. I knew I didn't have the most recent information, but I didn't know how far off I was, apparently.
Well, it's too bad you can't get me that page and I can fill that one out.
I can. This happened short. They gave us the file. We talked about it.
That's right.
Launched
That's
it.
right.
I didn't mess around. I got right to it. All right. So on the contacts page, you said the first one was Caitlin Smith. What's the situation there?
Caitlin Smith with a C, and I think the rest of it's correct, Beth?
Yes.
All right. So it's C, not a K. Got that?
Correct. And in the email as well.
Yeah, the email would definitely be wrong. That's the case.
And then Ms. Schmaltz is no longer on the board, and Dr. Pena is no longer on the board. And
Schmaltz, hold on one second. Where is there anyone that's replaced Miss Schmaltz?
not yet, because like Miss Fatima, I haven't got her all the way loaded in
No
through
worries.
the
I'll
process.
just clear that contact. That's fine.
Yeah, those two, Schmaltz and Pena. Because we got Zuri, Miss Baker, I see Miss Hobage.
Now, do we need
TG.
to change Victoria's
Yeah,
name?
I was just gonna say.
Oh,
Joel,
yeah.
My email,
you.
my name, changed to Jones, and then my email is V Garrison Jones.
Hmm.
All right,
Interesting.
Victoria. And the last name is Jones.
Yes,
I love it. Good for you. And then V Garrison, is that a hyphen or just
no,
straight?
just
Garrison
Garrison
Jones?
Jones, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
I think I've
done.
done it wrong. So we're gonna have to fade in. I'm gonna have to figure out how to fade that in. Miss Jones. Mrs. Jones.
That's
I need to
a
change.
big change for us.
Mhm.
All right. So I've got Caitlin, I've got Victoria. What was the other one, Brian?
Dr. Pena is no longer a board member?
Schmaltz and Pena are not, correct?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
All right, those are gone.
The website is no IES, it's just a Y.
Isn't that, how in the heck did I not
That's
have
been
that
a while.
correct? That's not okay. PaideaAcademy.com.
Right.
All right, we're golden on that. I've made those changes to the actual file I'll upload. I can show you this actually. Hold on, let's do that. So you can actually approve this based on what we've made changes to.
Okay.
Is that, I can't tell if that's little or big in the shared version. Is that big enough to see?
If I get really close.
Let's
Yeah, let's go a little bit more.
oh, let's go bigger. Dang
Which way are you going?
it. I'm confused. How am I driving? Okay.
There you go. I think that's pretty good for me anyway. I'm the oldest person.
I believe that to be the changes we discussed.
Yeah.
The change to the website. So when you approve the budget, you can just approve the proposed budget. This will
Yeah,
be the
because this is
version
what
that
we're going to
goes
work
in.
off
I'll
of.
send this. You can get a copy of the signature page, Brian, on the version you have. The rest of the file I'll update with this. So it'll be the singular form that we actually approved. All right, on to the rest of the budget. Let's do this. All right. The next page, or the third page of the budget file, is the real meat and potatoes, the M&O version of the budget. So it's all spending from school-wide sources unrestricted. So all local funds, state equalization, Prop 123, and one-time funding for this fiscal year. There's no one-time funding for 25, but this is the majority of your expenses are presented here by function and object grouping. You'll note to the far right-hand side, there are some changes to how we're expending funds. But with a few exceptions of just where we're choosing to display an expense or how we're presenting it, it's fairly consistent across the board. 1 to 3% increases on average. There are some deviations. Interest is the biggest one. This is related to how much we're accounting to M&O funds for interest for our facilities debt versus ESSER 3 for our facilities debt. In fiscal year 25, we're not allowed to allocate really much of anything to ESSER 3 because we're done with that fund. But so the majority of the interest that has been picked up with those COVID related funds is now picked up with M&O. So that's the big reason for the swing from $538,000 to $1.112 million in interest. Our interest has been pretty consistent since the issuance of the debt for the expansion facilities for the high school. We're just covering more of it with school-wide sources now versus the COVID-related funding that we've been covering it with in the past. Any questions related to this page? This is
Does that ESSER debt service cover? I saw a email come through with Becky, and she said there was some leftover to be able to account for 25. Does that
if
does that
that's the
include
case,
it?
we will absolutely soak that up with interest and
Yep.
principal from debt service, and that would be my
Okay, yeah.
preference.
She said there was some more left over that we needed to
We were trying to
take care of.
triangulate with the resources that we had allocated to the carve out, the 20% carve out. We didn't know how much we had left for debt service. So based on that, yes, Brian, we'll either do one of two things. We'll code another portion of an interventionist to the grant or two. But
Save
in
the
all
same,
likelihood,
yeah.
we'll do more debt service.
Okay, sounds good.
The next page is a hodgepodge. This is federal expenditure, which also equals revenue for fiscal year 25, Title I, and so on. I apologize. I don't know what's going on with this, but it keeps jumping back and forth. Fiscal year 25, there is a decrease in most federal source revenues based on the way they've allocated the ESEA funds. Long story short, they changed the allocation metrics per pupil for every school in the state, which resulted in a lower than anticipated allocation of Title I, II, and IV from Fed sources. So we're modeling that here. We're saying, okay, we're going to receive $50,000 less from Title I. I don't know if that'll be the case. I really don't think that will ultimately be the case, but for right now, that's what they've shown us.
Yeah.
So modeling that down in our actual budget and in the budget to the state as well.
And Title
$1.3
II
million.
is that far down?
Yep.
Title II is that? Wow.
And Brian, it's because of it's a two-factor thing. They changed the hold harmless number to 80% versus 85%, but they really changed their per pupil allocation of revenues or allocation of capacity.
Because Victoria, that number changes your. That's a big change.
To me, it doesn't change anything for Victoria. It just changes that we got to cut something else other than that Title II professional development that we would have paid for with Title II. We're going to still do it. Whatever she needs to do, we're going to do, but we got to figure out what else gets cut to offset that. And the reason I'm not too worried just yet is I honestly think this is politicians not understanding why schools hadn't spent ESSER yet. The reason, the named reason for the reduction in ESEA was schools were sitting on a bunch of COVID related funds.
Oh, that makes sense.
And the fact of the matter is all schools had a spending plan to extinguish all of that in fiscal year 24 and 25. Once they realize that's gone, I think we'll see a return to normal. But until then, we're going to plan accordingly.
Can I ask a question about the improvement, the buildings and building improvements? Because that's a huge difference.
Yep, we were finishing in 24, Beth, a completion of a project related to the expansion of that high school facility.
Okay.
So I basically was saying, I'm going to show you another $3.5 million in buildings and improvements in 24. And in 25, all I've got is regular, what I call routine maintenance and upkeep for buildings. Yeah, good question.
So that was
We had
actual
financed
building.
that in the year before that, but I was completing the project in 24 on the balance sheet.
And that 150 we'll use with the fences, everything's, there's a lot of capital.
We may use more than
facility
that.
stuff going on right now.
Yep. We have another capital needs assessment technically in 2 more years, Brian. We've done one 3 years
Goes
ago.
fast. Yeah, we just did one.
Now that we've got everything in place, the next one that happens, I think will give us a better clock for what we need to look at on those.
Well, that might coincide with the bond out too.
No, actually, that's a great point. It absolutely will, because we're able to bond in 25. We're able to rewrap all of the debt if we choose to at that time.
I hope we can. Okay.
Sped spending over here on the right-hand side, this number, what I try to do is make sure that we are, based on our trajectory, spending a little bit more in the proposed budget year than we did in the current budget year, just to avoid maintenance of effort issues. These numbers only matter in so much as that we haven't posted an actual annual financial report for 24. Once we do that, these become updated numbers. We're still always going to be ahead of schedule on the budget, showing lower spending on actual. That keeps us out of maintenance of effort issues. But traditionally, Paideia has increased each year for the last 7 years. on a per pupil basis from a special education expenditure standpoint from state and local sources, we've each year increased a little bit year over year. And that's a function of expanding our services, vendor changes, staffing changes, and so on. Everything else, for the most part, largely the same as the prior budget year. Your staff and teacher to pupil ratio is very similar. The differences over here are immaterial. Classroom instruction versus audit services, if you can compare them, there's not a lot of movement percentage wise between the 2 years. And then down here's the description of total debt service and principal. These are just informational. There's really nothing to budget here. It is what it is, but we're informing the public. And then we'll skip through the rest of these pretty quick. This is your planned expenditure from classroom site funds. I proposed in this budget version the same enrollment we had in the prior, in the current year, I should say, in 25. So there's no difference in student count the budget is based on, but we did generate different classroom site fund revenues based on the known differences in classroom site funds. So $780,000 in change in classroom site fund expenditure in 24 versus $815,000 in change in 25, based on the $38 per pupil difference in funding in the positive from 24 to 25. And the last thing here, this is structured English immersion through the state. This is our budgeted allocation of $36,676 for SEI, Beth. We haven't received an updated number. This will probably go up, to be honest with you. And we're allocating, it says 1 FTE, it's really 3/4 FTE to this particular field. But
Yeah, find 1 FTE for that much money.
Yeah, you couldn't find a para FTE probably for that much money now.
Not to mention 1 FTE doesn't come close to covering what we need.
No, that's less we
There-
pay.
I know that's a great point, Beth. We need lots of FTEs, but they're saying with the funding we give you, how many FTEs are you covering?
Yeah.
Which is
Man,
3/4
just-
FTE at best. Yeah. And then this is a budget summary. We're second to last page here. This is just an amalgamation of information presented elsewhere in the budget in one spot, like an executive summary. This is the minimum that has to be presented to the public with your proposed agenda for the adopted budget meeting. In the last page, bear with me, I gotta magnify this. They won't let us
Yeah.
change the print preferences. This last piece is reserve balances in the budget. They're wanting us to project our reserve balances for fiscal year 25 completion.
Oh, yeah, it's so little on here. I didn't know it was even there.
It's super small. You cannot, because the budget file is locked down. It's literally locked. So we can
Wow.
print the PDF and blow it up to see it, but it's super tiny in that document. So we finished 23 with the final ending project balance. This is real, of $4.59 million. This is your cash, all kinds of cash. In 24, we plan for budgeted revenues of $10.58 million over expenses of 9.756. That gives us a certain amount of additional cash and carryover. So we kind of roll through these project balances and come out with, at the end of 24, here's where we're going to be. $5.422451 million. I think we will actually be better than that, but that's a pretty good guesstimate based on the way the state requires you to calculate it at the end of 25.
Okay.
And with that, I know that's a ton, but I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions from the board on the proposed budget version.
I would like to know if you just give us a quick on our 3 dashboard. What do we anticipate for days cash on hand, net,
Yep.
and debt service coverage ratio?
Yep.
Those are my
The
key
3 that we care
indicators to
about
me.
Quite a bit are the net income from normal operations, or adjusted net income, they call it, Brian. That's $622,518 is our actual operating budget projection for next year. That would yield a 1.09 debt service coverage. We do need to work to improve that a little over the course of the year, and we will. This budget right now is based on the actual anticipated funding from the state with the increase they're anticipating.
And
days
enrollment,
cash.
our enrollment goal, if you remind me, is 882, was it?
870 is what this budget is.
870,
based on
'cause I
right
never remember the basement.
now. So
I know what
this
I've
is-
given my people, but
that's a great point, because we track to 3 different numbers. We track to a worst case, which we're not talking about here.
I never tell anybody the worst case.
We give the budget target, which you're talking about, of 888. And then I budget off of a discounted model of 870 from there in this particular year to make sure that we will be okay, because we're going to hit 870 at least.
And now we're live YouTube. I guess the cat's out of the bag.
Oopsie. Yeah.
But we've given our
Let's
school
just
the
sound
goal.
fiscal policy. You have a target you always strive for. You budget on a discount from that. And then
Yes,
worst
yes.
case scenario you're aware of, but it's not likely to occur in this year for Paideia. There are some years where worst case is what we're focused on, but it's not this year.
Not this year.
That leaves us with a 1.09 coverage. I feel very strong we can get that above the minimum 1.10, but it is a very tight budget year for the school. It's one that we can negotiate very handily, though. I think we have traditionally outperformed our budgeted expectations by somewhere around, I don't know, 0.12%, which is a significant difference in your performance anticipated at the beginning of the year versus where you close. That would be the difference between 1.09 and 1.21 for the year. So a pretty big move. We can handle 1.21 all day long. And then cash, we're extremely liquid, 232.41 days cash on hand by the end of the year.
Yeah. It's just the darn debt service coverage ratio.
Debt service coverage is a booger, and it's going to continue to be a booger until we've got enrollment to fill that high school facility a little bit more. I anticipate by 27, we're kind of past that. And it's the foundational grades. Again, we talked about this. If we can get that enrollment back in foundational grades, Paideia has no issues financially.
Yeah. I'm very confident on that thing right there with Avid, with all the stuff we're doing in the high school, and then also the marketing plan that's being launched with the kindergarten and lower grades. I'm very confident that we'll.
Did you get in touch? Did I connect you with Bloomwell?
No.
Okay, this will happen immediately. I reached out to him and said, "Hey, I thought I had an email going out to you guys. All right, tomorrow morning at the latest, we were going to make sure we talk and get that
I'll
party
be on
started."
the beach, but yes, please.
Yeah, let's make that happen for sure.
All right, very good. Any questions from anybody on the proposed budget? Any other discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, Victoria, I just took way over.
No, that's. Joel, I just have a question on the logistics of, when we approve this budget, we have to sign. Is it within 3 days, or what do we have, and can we?
Yeah, let me show you exactly what you have to do. So this is the cover sheet of the budget. It can be as is right now. Brian and team, you have a copy of this. We can collect signatures, whether that's digitally or pen and paper, or you can write on there, participated telephonically or by Zoom, just write the name.
It's going to be easier, Victor. I think just write that. We tried other ways and just never seems to get around to everybody at the time.
Yeah.
So Joel, I can write the names and say participated via Zoom.
Yes.
Okay.
100%. The only thing that would be great is to get ink of some kind, whether digital or actual, for the school officials signing off on the budget. And in theory, I've got 5 business days from the day you approve it to get a copy of the signature page uploaded to ADE. They have never once questioned the timeliness of those uploads. We've generally been on time with them. But my point is that I don't think they monitor it super close. We just want to make sure that's done. We track that in our system, and if you don't get it to us in 10 days, we're going to bug you for it. So when you get
Are you going to the office tomorrow, Victoria?
I can. Yes, I will.
I have a solution for my signature.
I know your solution. I'm going to be there. I mean, I've been going in every day.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, and just call Mickey and I can get you the solution to my signature.
Yeah.
I don't want to know what that is. That's not good.
I just don't know how to get it to Joel from there. Do I email it to him, and then I can sign it as well? Do I email it, or?
If you can sign on the PDF, great. Or you can print it out, sign everything in ink and scan it. That's fine. Any version of those things, Beth, whatever's easiest for you.
Okay.
You know what I could do, Beth? I could download tonight. I could put my signature on the PDF and just email it back over to you. That's easy.
And then everybody else can print that, attended by Zoom with the name, and then scan that into me, and we're done.
Okay, sounds good.
Going forward, it's one of those things to look at is DocuSign or some version of like a real digital signature.
We tried that a couple of years ago, and it was also a thing of getting everybody to actually get it signed. You know,
I think there are,
in
in fact, I know there are ways that we can capture digital signatures in Adobe DC and apply those based on board approval.
Oh,
The downside is, from a control standpoint, we'll actually still have the signatures we could technically apply, but based on board approval, the signed document is actually signed with those signatures, and
okay.
we're good to go.
Okay.
All right, perfect. We got it.
Okay, you can unshare, and next up.
So now we need a, is there a, motion to approve?
Yeah, oh, that's right. I make a motion to approve the proposed budget for fiscal year 2025.
To add with changes noted,
To add with changes noted. Yes, thank you.
the contact page.
This is Ben, I second.
Does this one need to be a
Yeah,
roll?
I think this is a roll call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Miss Garrison,
Yes.
Miss Mendoza,
Yes.
Miss Hobage, yes. Miss Baker,
Yes.
Miss Martinez,
Yes. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
yes, thank you.
Okay.
I believe that was everyone, right? Did I miss somebody?
Mr.
Me.
Tejan, yes.
Me and Tejan.
I thought you seconded it. Sorry.
Oh, we still have to vote.
Oh, okay. And Dr. Windsor,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Okay, so for the next item, we're actually going to be going into executive session for the next item, which I think we need a vote also to go.
Ben, do you remember? Do we need to vote on that? I can't remember. Okay, good job. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Ben.
Okay, so can I make the motion to,
Yes.
I'll make the motion to go into executive session for the next item.
I'll second it.
And does this one have to be a roll call?
We can voice vote executive session.
Voice vote, okay. All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
and I recuse myself. So write down that I recuse myself from the executive session.
Okay.
I'm opening the executive session now and clicking everybody to go in, except myself.
Hey, board, I'm not supposed to be in here. Do you need me for anything in this, or am I?
You're
on
not.
your
You
own?
can't go to the executive session,
Not unless you say you want somebody that's not on the board to be in the executive session. I'm not allowed.
I would rather have you in there
I think it
because
would
you
be
know
good.
budget.
Yeah, if you could be in there.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, here we go. Let me just make sure I'm not in there.
Look at you.
Did it work? Yay, you're disappearing. Oops, did I get you, Fatima?
Huh?
Did you get the join?
No.
You didn't get there should be a thing up there to say join the executive session room.
Dr. John, let me see. Mm-mm. No. Maybe because my name is not there.
Oh, it was there.
I
Oh,
don't
wait.
I didn't see my name in there, probably.
Oh, Oh,
Probably I'm not included in there.
I think you got in late, so let me see if I get you in there. Ah, damn. Rooms, participants,
What?
Fatima.
Fatima,
Did you
Yes?
get her?
we're waiting for you. Do you see where it says join a breakout room?
Mm-mm.
Let
No.
me. I'm gonna bring you back because I don't know how to get her in there.
Okay. Are you bringing
Join.
everyone back?
Yeah, sorry. I'm gonna bring everybody back. Dang it. It should come back in about 1 minute.
Okay.
I think it was because when I made the room, Fatima wasn't here yet in the meeting.
Yeah. It's because I was updating the Zoom. It's the first time, well, in a long time that I didn't have these Zoom calls.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
use Teams, I use other,
oh yeah. Google Chat or Google Meet or Teams.
Yeah, we use different, yeah. And I didn't have the Zoom updated and I have to do that. I wasn't prepared for Zoom call.
Oh no. Okay, here we go. Let me see.
There's the answer, Beth. Now we know.
Okay, add a room. Here we go. Rename the room. Executive session. Yes. Assign Beth, Ben, Fatima, Joel, Crystal, Victoria, Zuri. That's everybody, right? Okay. Yay. They are an executive session. It'll probably be 10 or 15, maybe 20 minutes. So if anybody's watching, you can look at me. I'll hide myself.
Dr. Windsor, are you there?
I am here.
I need to
I
switch
will-
to mobile, so I'm gonna come back, and if you can move me back.
Okay,
So give me 1 second.
I will do my best. Do you have
Oh, I see the breakout rooms, but
your list? You oh, very
yeah,
good.
let
So I
me
go
look.
very good. Okay.
Well, I see it, but I don't think it'll let me join it.
Unassigned. Oh, Zuri, I think I see you. Assigned to. Okay, I'm figuring it out. Yay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yay. Of course, the pizza just arrived.
Wait, you get to eat?
It's 9:30 here, and everybody just it's like, oh, okay, good job. Here's the credit card.
I don't see Miss Martinez.
No, did she find her way out of the breakout room? Let me look at the breakout room and see if there's anybody else in there. 15. I'll have to move her to the main session. There you go. I'm helping her.
Thank you.
And Brian, we voted to leave session, and then Zuri had to leave the meeting. So,
I think she's out.
but we
Okay.
still have quorum.
Yes, we do. Okay, very good.
All right, so we're back in public session at 6:37. And Dr. Tejan, would you be able to kind of walk us through where we are?
Sure. Thank you, Mrs. Jones. So on item 5, we have the opportunity to discuss, so Dr. Windsor, you recused yourself from the executive session. The decision coming out of session, just to let you know, is to table the employment agreement that was drafted and proposed. The discussion is open, in the public forum. We can move to vote now to table and take the discussion offline, or we can discuss further if you want to ask some questions.
What's the reason for tabling?
So there are several terms of the agreement that we think need to be discussed and negotiated further with you, so that we can get to a final version that we can propose. The primary term is whether and how to attach the executive director term with the senior advisor term, both with respect to job requirements, and as well, and probably primarily budget concerns. So how to pay for it in light of changes to the organizational structure that would need to come with it.
Okay.
I also explained, by the way, and this can be public record because it has been in the past, we evaluated some of these terms in advance of your previous agreement. And so I did provide context of those discussions to the board members, especially the ones that weren't around for those discussions.
For a senior advisor? Is that what you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, there's a general understanding of what the requirements are, but not a consensus on how to enact them. So we would like to go back into the same kind of small group analysis that we did before your previous contract and see if we can iron those things out.
Okay, time's ticking. Honestly, July 1st, and my patience will be worn out, because I'll be on record that I'm not going to continue to do the job I'm doing for too much longer without some sort of a guarantee of what's going to happen over the next few years, because I can't continue with that.
So I don't mean to speak for the group, but I think we are in agreement that we want to achieve that goal as well. So that I think the contract embodies the specific terms by which we achieve that, and so they need to be figured out.
Well, I want to give that back to the board. I spent a lot of my money to get us to this far, and so I've provided you with what I can provide, and I spent my own money with my attorney. So now it's time for y'all to go ahead and take care of it for the rest of the way, without my expense. I've given you what I've given you. I'm happy to come back with whatever you bring to me, and I'll bring it to my attorney as well. But I don't want to delay, is what I'm saying. I don't want to keep going until into July and into August, and then say, oh, I'm still doing the same things I've been doing with no real solid thing that says I have an exit plan or how am I going to support myself through that? You know what I'm saying?
So I think we all understand that. Does anyone else have any anything to add to this conversation? I don't want to be the only one speaking.
No, I agree that we need to get it done.
Yeah.
All right. I'll recuse myself from that vote.
All right, so I move to table the employment agreement and salary approval.
I'll second him.
Okay, do we have Ms. Hobage there?
Sorry. Is this one a roll call?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Definitely.
Miss Garrison? Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, Miss Garrison?
yes,
Miss Mendoza?
Yes.
Miss Hobage, yes. Dr. Tejan?
Yes.
Miss Baker is absent. Miss Martinez?
Yes.
Miss Cox is absent. And okay,
You can write me as a recuse.
got it. Thank you.
Right.
so does that mean, Mr. Tejan, we're gonna have then a special session? We're gonna be,
So no, we'll take the ongoing discussion offline. I will take I will take the head of that. I'll spearhead that and get in touch with Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Baker.
all right, the next item then is a discussion and vote to approve the policy on school violence.
This comes as a result of a few on April 23rd. We had a fight at the Paideia Liberal Arts Academy, and it was really one of the first fight I could remember that was vicious like that. And it was one of the first fights that I can think of at our school where the students were involved in inciting the fight, running to the fight, kind of getting in the way of us taking care of the fight. And when I tried to apply discipline to those who knew about the fight, didn't report, incited the fight, and got in the way, there was really no mechanism. And I have a lot of pushback from parents about that. We have one sentence that says knowing and not reporting. So I went in and I thought, well, I need to figure something else out to make an absolute policy that provides guidance from our board and protects us from any OCR or not. Joel, we're good. Because this actually did spin off an OCR complaint against us off this situation. So I put together 4 key areas of a school zero tolerance for violence of any kind. Number 1A would be the actual physical altercation of violence, and did some research and got some help with writing the definitions and a consistent, coherent definitions, consequences, intervention, prevention, and parental involvement on each one of these 4 ideas, policies. I hope you've had an opportunity to look at it so we don't have to read it. So A would be the actual fighters. B is knowledge and failure to report an impending fight. So I got it defined and all the duty to report, consequences, educating, and all the things I thought would be important. C, those who might incite violence. So I've defined it down as clear as I could possibly think, and the consequences all the way down through parental involvement. And then the fourth layer of our policy I would propose is any interference during a staff response to a campus altercation. And that became actually a touching point where I realized, man, we were unsafe at that moment. Now, the fight was over and done with within seconds. So I'm glad that we have staff that were aware. I mean, we have staff on duty, and we had people in place, and I was able to get there really fast. But I want a policy that makes it clear to our community of our stance on school safety when it comes to violence.
Are there any questions or discussion on the policy? I think it's necessary that we have something in place.
Well, this is comprehensive. I mean,
Yeah.
Brian, do you
pretty-
feel it's reactive or is it proactive?
I feel like it's proactive because our community, our society is only getting more violent. And with the ideas that there's some of these kids inside of this violence, one kid flat out told the girl, go do it. But I have no mechanism to consecrate that kid, even down through all of it, where I talk about on, educating them and intervening with them in preventative measures and proactive. I think it's reactive because it sparked it inside of me to try to solve this problem. But I think it solves something for future administrators. Here is our policy. And also I think it communicates with our community. This is our stance on school violence. I know Phoenix Union High School, I read through theirs, and the only time they'll expel anybody is they bring a loaded gun. And that's not us. And I want to draw a line, and it says, if we lose enrollment over this, hey, we're going to be safe for all of our kids.
Yeah, I think there's been some excessive hand-wringing around potential infringement on First Amendment rights when it comes to schools, and especially public schools, disciplining for inciting violence. But I happen to think this is great. I think it can be proactive, and it's turning challenges into opportunities. Inciting violence, the phrase has really significant legal context. There's all kinds of reasons that that your free speech is limited by the extent to which you use it to incite violence. So this, for one thing, it's defensive of the school by characterizing it as, we're only going to prevent you from talking if you're inciting violence. But I also think it's an opportunity to teach people what that means.
I agree.
So that's my favorite page. I think it's all necessary, but I like that that's in there. It turns it from a disciplinary measure into a teaching moment.
I wonder too, Ben, our future plan of the radio station, I was thinking about what you told me at the station about there's rules of what you can say over the radio, and that might be an interesting connection here too.
Yeah. Well, I think in our conversation we tied it to First Amendment also, right? It's
We
about
did.
it because of the attitude, the context, the environment that we're living in now, where you can say whatever you want and apparently not have any consequences, no matter how much power you yield.
Right.
That's teaching teaching them young what that means and,
Yeah.
you know, how to respect each other with your words. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate that it had to come. I meant to ask. So you said this was in April, so this isn't tied in any way to our relaxing of the dress code or anything like that. You know, there's not
No.
okay. So
No.
we didn't let them express their individuality, and they immediately started trying to murder each other. Okay, that's great.
No.
No, it wasn't our high schoolers.
It was our 8th graders.
Okay.
Some of our 7th graders. Our high schoolers are so cool. They're good. They're pretty wonderful. Although in the high school one, not shortly after that, we did have some text messages going back between 2 boys, and they, you know, when they're texting offline, they don't realize that's still a school issue. And so one of them wrote some things that we immediately said he cannot come on campus again. And so that caused a lot of anger from the parents. And so it's no, he said that. So he is not coming back on campus until you and I meet, you know, so.
If there's no other questions, do we have a motion to accept it?
I move to adopt as presented.
I'll second.
And I
There.
think we voice vote that, Ms. Hobesh.
I'm sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear through the static.
I think we can voice vote. We have to voice vote on that one.
Just a voice, no roll call?
I'm sorry, roll call.
Roll
I
call,
meant to say
okay.
roll call.
And I couldn't hear who motioned and who second.
Dr. Tejan made the motion and Mrs. Mendonça seconded.
Thank you so much. Okay, Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Windsor, Dr. Windsor,
He said yes.
thank you.
Oh, I'm
Mendoza.
muted. I muted myself.
And I say yes too. So
Thank you. Ms. Hobeige, yes. Dr. Tejan,
Yes.
and Ms. Martinez.
Ooh. Oh,
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I don't know if I unmute or.
Okay, yeah, there's a little background noise, I think. Somewhere. So I would actually like for item number 7, if it's okay, Dr. Windsor, I'd like to
yes.
vote to table this one because we don't have the dress code just yet, an updated dress code, so we can try to pass this in July, adopt this in July. So I would move to table this discussion and vote to approve the Senior Academy dress code.
I'll second that.
And Ms. Hobeige, I think that this one can be we do a voice vote on this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're muted, Ms. Hobeige.
Sorry, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and that takes us to the last item, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
I'll second it, Ms. Hobeige.
Oh, sorry, I thought I heard 2 people say something. And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, before y'all click off, we have to have the meeting before the 15th, which is a Monday. Beth, Victoria, and I are in our leadership summit the 10th, 11th, and 12th of July, which is Wednesday through Friday. So we're not on campus.
Can we do it the 8th?
I'm good with the 8th if everybody's good with the 8th.
Would that work for everybody, July 8th to approve the budget?
Yep.
Yes.
That might be a good, if you want to tag on to that meeting, Dr. Tejan, the contract stuff, that might be a good double on that one. And I'll put the dress code on there as well. Ben, I'm going to give you the contact information for my attorney. Well, Ellis Carter.
Oh, it's Ellis. Okay.
Yeah.
Saw
So I'll
some
give
other
you
names on there.
Ashley Spear is who I've been dealing with, but it's through Ellis's. So I'll give you her information. If you have any questions in the comments, we can certainly jump in on that as well.
Okay. Perfect.
Is that a better email address for you, Ben?
Which one were you
It's
using?
at messnerd.com.
Yes.
It's just on your screen. I'm gonna use that one, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I smell
That's
pizza.
one question before you go. So you're gonna do a electronic signature and send it to me, and then I'm gonna print it off, sign it. And am I gonna write in?
No, I can do that. I'll just write in everybody.
okay.
I can do a text write in on that on everybody's
And I'll
line.
print it and scan it to Joel.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're gonna do that, Dr. Windsor? The text.
Yeah,
right?
as long as I'm putting my signature on, I can also
okay.
just type it in. That's easy.
Okay.
As long as you're doing it.
Okay, so that's the right thing though. Once I get it, I'll print it, sign it, and scan it to Joel.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank